Welcome to the Prepper Almanac. How to grow an indoor survival garden year-round. A lot of us have dabbled with indoor gardens in the past. Most of the time, we were watering houseplants, or planting a small group of herbs in the kitchen, or bringing in a small pepper or tomato plant for the winter. But there's one main reason why your garden may survive better indoors. The rising price of food, especially produce, is leading to the casual and indiscriminate theft of fruits and vegetables from backyard gardens. There was a time when bugs and passing rabbits caused the most havoc in our gardens, but more and more people are waking up to find their tomatoes mysteriously gone, their cucumbers vanished, and their perfect peppers disappeared. A fence is one solution, as well as growing food closer to your home, but we often choose our garden location based on sunlight and other location factors unrelated to security. As food prices lead to shortages, it may be time to take more robust steps. Some vegetables grow well indoors. It may come as a surprise, but there are some vegetables that will grow and thrive indoors. We'll cover all of them throughout the video with some insights on how to get the best yields. Many are dwarf varieties, but if you have the space and use some creative approaches, you can grow standard varieties as well. The size of your indoor garden is up to you. You may think you don't have the space or good locations for an indoor garden, but as the need arises due to rising food prices and the growing problem of garden theft, you may find you have more space than you know to grow vegetables and even fruits indoors. The key challenges and solutions for indoor gardening. Sunlight is an obvious indoor challenge. And windows with a southern exposure are the best solution, but even windows with a western or eastern exposure will get some amount of sunlight, and the indirect window light of a northern exposure will be enough for some shade-loving vegetables like spinach and kale. The solution for limited sunlight indoors are grow lights. On average, a plant should receive 12 hours of light per day. Many people set their grow lights to shine through the night from 8 in the evening until 8 in the morning when electricity rates are sometimes cheaper. That's up to you, but at least give them 12 hours of light. If you can't afford grow lights, standard fluorescent lights will work, and they usually run at low wattages of 20 to 30 watts per bulb. Soil is the primary growing medium outdoors, and the same is true indoors. One critical thing to consider is how you can enrich your soil for indoor gardening. Larger containers help, but even then you want to start with the best growing medium you can put together. One solution is to mix up a rich growing medium. The perfect mixture is often identified as 1 part peat, 1 part vermiculite, half part composted bark, and half part worm castings. Water is critical to the growth and survival of any plant, particularly vegetables like cucumbers, tomatoes, and other vegetables that bear fruits or gourds. Leafy vegetables can get by with less than a squash, but all of them will need regular watering. What's critical with indoor gardens is to avoid watering too much. Plants growing outdoors have the benefits of occasional rain, timed sprinklers, prevailing winds, and gravity causing water to percolate into the ground. Indoors, too much water can kill plants, especially if the pot or container doesn't have any drainage holes. Temperature management seems to be a lot easier indoors, but some plants prefer warmer temperatures, some cooler, and some won't tolerate extremes. This usually isn't a problem in first-floor living spaces, but both basements and upstairs locations may see more temperature fluctuations than that cherry tomato plant growing next to your recliner. Moisture and humidity are another factor that can vary across the seasons. Spring, summer, and fall present less of a challenge, but as the furnace or the wood-burning stove kicks in over winter, the humidity levels can decrease as the indoor air becomes drier and drier. Another solution is an indoor greenhouse. Space is often the biggest challenge for anyone attempting an indoor garden. Fortunately, there are some creative solutions that even outdoor gardens use to increase the available space in any garden. One solution is vertical gardening. This can be done a number of ways, but one of the easiest is to insert a tall stake in a large container and grow a vining vegetable like pole beans, cucumbers, or squash. And make the most of those corners. Corners aren't furniture friendly, but they're made for plants. Don't forget windowsills. There are flower boxes made for windowsills, and there's always plenty of light. Some things to remember. Remember succession planting. When you're growing your garden indoors, you are on an endless quest for succession planting. When one crop is done, it's time to replant. Remember to introduce new soil to the pot or container and toss the old soil into the compost heap or bake in the oven to sterilize the old soil. Remember to pollinate. One of the benefits of gardening indoors is no bugs. But many plants depend on bugs for pollination. A whole group of insects including bees, wasps, hornets and even butterflies are referred to as pollinators. Without them, it's up to you. Remember the ceiling. Hanging plants are an easy solution if space on the floor is limited. Try to hang them by a window and you'll most likely need a pot or container without drainage holes, so water carefully and regularly. Remember to plant heirloom varieties. Hybrid seeds will often produce a different variety than you were expecting. Remember to harvest frequently. Most vegetables will quickly regrow or produce more fruits if harvested regularly. Plants that grow well indoors. Cucumbers. 1. Varieties, indoor varieties grown vertically. 2. Soil depth, 12 plus inches. 3. Amount of light, 12 hours of direct light. 4. Time to harvest, 10 to 14 weeks. 5. Notes, prefer lots of water, light and cooler temps. Squash. 1. Varieties, crookneck, butternut, acorn grown vertically. Soil depth, 12 inches. Amount of light, 12 to 16 hours of direct and indirect light. 4. Time to harvest, 10 to 12 weeks. 5. Notes, prefer lots of water and light. Tomatoes. 1. Varieties, cherry, toy boy, tiny Tim, Florida petite, red robin. 2. Soil depth, 6 inches at a minimum. 3. Amount of light, 12 to 16 hours of direct and indirect light. 4. Time to harvest, 8 to 12 weeks. Lettuce. Varieties, green leaf, buttercup, and other compact varieties. Soil depth, 4 inches. Amount of light, 12 hours light, time to harvest, 4 to 12 weeks. Spinach varieties, all varieties. Soil depth, 6 inches. 3. Amount of light, 8 to 12 hours. 4. Time to harvest, 4 to 16 weeks from sprouts to full maturity. 5. Shade and cold temp tolerant. Beets varieties, all varieties. Soil depth, 8 inches. 3. Amount of light, 12 hours of light. 4. Time to harvest, 60 days. 5. Notes, need regular water. Carrots varieties, all varieties. Soil depth, 8 inches. 3. Amount of light, 12 hours of light. 4. Time to harvest, 80 days. Green onions. Varieties, all varieties. Soil depth, 4 inches. Amount of light, 6 to 8 hours. 4. Time to harvest, 45 days. Potatoes varieties, red and gold potatoes. Soil depth, 8 inches. Amount of light, 12 hours of light. 4. Time to harvest, 90 days. Radishes. 1. Varieties, all varieties. 2. Soil depth, 6 inches. 3. Amount of light, 12 hours of light. 4. Time to harvest, 30 days. Red onions. 1. Varieties, all varieties. 2. Soil depth, 4 inches. 3. Amount of light, 6 to 8 hours. 4. Time to harvest, 60 days. Blueberries. 1. Varieties, top hat, north ski, sunshine blue. Soil depth, 12 plus inches in a large pot. Amount of light, 12 hours. 4. Time to harvest, 1 year. Mandarin oranges varieties, dwarf varieties. Soil depth, 18 to 24 inches. Amount of light, 12 to 14 hours. 4. Time to harvest, 4 to 6 months. Strawberries. Varieties, wild and domestic varieties. Soil depth, 6 inches in a large tray. 3. Amount of light, 12 hours. 4. Time to harvest, 4 to 6 weeks from blossoms. Mushrooms. Varieties, cremini, enoki, maitake, portobello, oyster, shiitake, and white button. Soil depth, at least 6 inches. 3. Amount of light, none. 4. Time to harvest, 6 to 12 months but varies by variety. Basil. 1. Varieties, all varieties. 2. Soil depth, at least 6 inches. Amount of light, 12 hours. Time to harvest, 4 weeks and ongoing. Cilantro. Varieties, all varieties. Soil depth, at least 6 inches. Amount of light, 12 hours. Time to harvest, 4 to 6 weeks, frequent harvests. Parsley varieties, all varieties. Soil depth, at least 6 inches. Amount of light, 12 hours. 4. Time to harvest, 2 to 3 months and ongoing. Rosemary varieties, all varieties. Soil depth, at least 8 inches. Amount of light, 12 hours. 4. Time to harvest, 4 to 6 months and ongoing. Sage varieties, all varieties. Soil depth, at least 6 inches. Amount of light, 12 hours. Time to harvest, 6 to 8 weeks. Time. Varieties, all varieties. 2. Soil depth, at least 4 inches. Amount of light, 12 hours. Time to harvest, 70 days and ongoing. When there is no electricity. Whether you're living off the grid or enduring a long-term power outage, you need to think about how you will power any grow lights. Solar is the obvious solution with batteries connected to an AC inverter or tied directly to LEDs designed to run off of 12-volt power or directly tied to a solar panel. There are specially designed grow lights that run off of solar that avoid some of the design and setup of a separate solar power supply. The simplest solution is to keep your indoor garden setups in close proximity to a window. You may need to rotate pots and plants to the southern windows if a plant seems to need more light, or move them outside from time to time and bring them in at night. Before you reinvent the wheel. On a basic level, you can design your indoor garden using 5-gallon buckets. Your indoor light sources can be fluorescent rather than costlier LEDs or specialized grow lights. Just remember to keep an eye on your plants, manage your watering, and feed them from time to time. Maybe the most important thing to do is harvest regularly. As we wrap up today's video, if you have any questions or if there are any topics that you would like discussed in the future, let us know in the comment section below. And be sure to subscribe to the channel to learn more about prepping and share the video with others that may have a passion for prepping or are curious about prepping in general. Thanks for watching the Prepper Almanac.